Good evening and welcome to the Townsend Housing Authority. Today is Thursday, November 14th, 2019. This is an open meeting of the Housing Authority. Can we have a roll call, please?
May I have a call clerk present?
Courtney Burley.
Chaz Sexton Duranian. This meeting is being recorded and we don't have anybody in the audience, so we don't have to worry about that, but let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as always, I want to thank all of our servicemen and women who have provided their service in helping us keep this land free. Chairman's additions, deletions to agenda, unforeseen prior to 48 hours of this meeting. The chair does not have anything. Do you guys have anything that you want to add? Or I do want to say that the vice chair has a, she's going to be absent tonight, but she's got some personal things that she needs to take care of today. And I just want to say that my heart goes out to her. 1.7 State Representative Report. I did want to cover a couple of things in regards to a couple of state meetings that I went to, but I kind of wanted the land use coordinator here, so I think I'm going to put those off until our next meeting. Nothing of major concern, is nothing that has anything to do with, it's more procedural type things that I think we need to talk about. So I'm going to just kind of buzz right over that one for today. 1.8 volunteer videographer needed. We are still looking for somebody that would be able to help us out with videotaping. Well, we don't videotape anymore, but to be able to run the equipment when we do meetings. We not only do meetings here at Town Hall, but we also do meetings out at the Senior Center as well. Sometimes we do it in the Great Hall here at the Town Hall. Anybody who is interested, any citizen of the town is more than welcome to apply. If you go onto the website to the town clerk and you click on the volunteer form, fill out the volunteer form, that will be processed and sent over to the Housing Authority, and then we'd be able to train you and help you get set up. But it's a great way for high school, somebody that's in high school. That I know that as part of, I'm an Eagle Scout, and part of my, there is a video portion for scouting too, so that this would fulfill a lot of something like that. So if you know of anybody, definitely let us know and fill out a volunteer form. 2.1 State Representative Sheila Harrington. She may or may not be here, so I'm going to keep that open if that's okay with the rest of the board. And we'll go down right down to the work session. 3.1, the Townsend Housing Authority information handling. I wanted to cover a couple of things in here. It has, there's been a couple of instances recently that I wanted to be very clear with the board, and I wanted to check with you guys to make sure that we're all on the same page. There is information that does come into Town Hall that does or does not pertain to the Housing Authority. My interpretation of information that comes in is, as the chairman of this board, I would assume that information would come directly to me, and I would decide whether or not we're going to put it on the agenda. Normally what I do, because I believe in full transparency, is sending it out to you guys, and you guys decide whether or not we need to talk about it in an open meeting or however you want to deal with it. Recently there's been a couple of communications that have gone into the that have come in that have not gotten to me, and it has been decided by other parties that that's no need for us to talk about. And I want to address it by finding out what do you guys feel, but I personally feel that any information that has anything to do with the Housing Authority should come directly here. My thoughts on the matter is that we are an elected board. I'm also appointed by the governor. So I don't answer to, you know, a particular office or whatever. So if any information comes into, let's say, the town administrator or to the land use, it should come directly to me as the chair of the housing authority to decide whether or not we should handle that information or not. Are we all in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to be very clear about that. Number one is that I had sent a email directly to the chairman of the planning board in regards to a issue. I had gotten a response by somebody who was not on the planning board, and I did not answer that email, but it did address some, this is what the proper way of handling certain things are. There is no office outside of our board that deals with any information that we deal with. In any decision, whether or not to discuss it should come directly to us, and we should decide what it should be. And I want to be very, very clear in saying that that information should have been brought to us. And we should have, you know, I sent an email out. I as the chair, and actually anybody can send an email to anyone else. I don't need to get a response from any other organization in regards to an email that I have sent out. Are we also in agreement with that, and we're all clear of what I'm saying here? Having said that, I had sent the town administrator an email on October 7th that specifically asked a question in regards to a unit that was proposed to be built on West Meadow Road, which is going to be a Habitat for Humanity. And my question had to do with, was this approved on there as a Habitat for Humanity house, and should or should not that information be brought to the Housing Authority? We are the ones that take care of those types of things. So it wasn't whether or not we have authority over whether or not that gets built or whatever. The question directly was, should we not be informed of what this is? The reason being is that when you have a Habitat for Humanity house, they formulate a committee. And the Housing Authority in the town in which they build that usually appoints a member of their board to be part of the committee so that they're familiar with all of the building that they have done, and therefore submit all of that information to the state representative, who then in turn files it with the state. Okay? It has nothing to do with who should be notified. It has nothing to do with the power play. I sent this email out on the 7th, and I have gotten no response from the town administrator. So I in turn thought, well, let me send another email out to our liaison to the Board of Selectmen. I sent it out to, I can't remember who I sent it out to, but it was that I did not hear back from the town administrator. Does anybody know the answer to this question? And I did get an answer, a response back from the land use office saying that something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, that, you know, it's separate entities. Habitat for Humanity has nothing to do with the Housing Authority and that kind of stuff. My comment to that was, that's not what my question was. My question was, why weren't we notified, and is there a process that we can get on so we can be notified of things, because the Housing Authority never gets this information. The email that was sent out that answered that question, that said that they were asked by the town administrator. My question now is that, why wasn't I notified that that person was asked that question to look into it, number one? And number two is, in that email it stated that something to the effect of, I didn't think it was that important, so I was going to bring it up on November 14th. All right? So my concern is this: if I ask a question to the town administrator on October 7th, I don't get an answer until November 14th. That's a major, or November 14th is today. That's a major issue for me, because that means that somebody has made a decision on information that should have come directly from us. If it was something that I felt we needed to talk about, then as chair, I could call an emergency meeting if we needed to, and we've done that on the fly many times. This is the reason why I want to make sure that all information, whether, you know, people feel that it's town housing authority information or not, really should come directly to the chair. throwing it out there because that's how I feel, and you guys have voted me in as chair to be able to take care of business, and I find it absolutely unacceptable to ask a question on having a whole month go by and getting an answer kind of third wheel, okay? So as far as that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to put this information handling on here. The last portion of it was that I have been on this board for 5 years, about 5 years. In the 5 years, this is not the first time that I've had this happen. I have gone in front of the Board of Selectmen in regards to several questions that I had asked before directly to the town administrator, and I've not gotten any answer at all. I'm at the point now where we need to take some sort of action. I feel, and this is my own personal opinion, I feel that I'm not respected as a chair of a board, but more importantly, I am appointed by the governor, like I said earlier, and I hate to throw stuff out there like that, but I report to the governor. I don't report to the town administrator, and I do not report to any office here in town.
That's right.
When they ask me a question in any state meeting, I have to give the answer, whatever the answer is. And those are the people that I answer to. We have been trying for 5 years now to be able to do something with this Dudley Road land, and I personally feel like we are being, again, there's obstruction after obstruction after obstruction. So therefore, I am going to be able to, I want to ask you if you feel that I should go in front of the Board of Selectmen to be able to voice our opinion on the fact that we feel that we're, I feel like we're being, held back on doing what we're supposed to be doing.
They're keeping us from doing our job is what they're doing.
Yes.
And that's my opinion, that's my personal opinion. And we're here for a reason, we're here for the town, we're not here for the TA. We're here for the people, bottom line. We should be getting all the information like all the other committees in this town accordingly, not by who they think it should go. Housing goes to housing. We decide, we decide that, not anybody else. We decide that. It's housing. And the respect, you know what? That's what you're there for. You're there to represent the town by the governor. Not by the town, by the governor who appointed you. So I'm sorry, I think you should go in front of the BOS and we'll be there, I'll be there.
Okay.
Because there's no reason for this being overlooked or them making decisions for us when we should be making our own decisions for this town. 5 years is too long. We're talking about the people. We're talking about a wait list. We're talking about people's lives here. And there's no reason for it. There's absolutely no excuse for that. I'm sorry, but, that's just my opinion. I can read your mind. Yeah, go in front of when's the next Board of Selectmen meeting? Next Tuesday?
Well, I would like, again, I think diplomacy needs to be a part of this as well. I feel that maybe we should be able to figure out something amongst ourselves, which would be the best and most logical way to do that before we just jump right into a selectman meeting, because as a clinician, this is part of what I do for a living, and we need to make sure that our voice is heard, number one, but I don't want to be disruptive when I do.
I agree.
There's been too much disruptive politics, I guess is the best way to put it, and I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon.
No, you're get all our ducks in order before we go in front of the board.
So what I would like to do is if we could all put our heads together and come up with some points that we feel that we need to make, and then I'll be more than glad to bring it to the Board of Selectmen.
By all means.
Okay. But in the interim, I'm going to send out an email, and I will forward it to you, Jody, if you could send it out for. That will basically state that this is what we talked about in the meeting, and any further information. I'd like to also send it to the planning board, because the planning board does get a lot of information in regards to possible affordable housing or 40Bs or whatever. If they feel that anything to do with housing that the Housing Authority could remotely have any information or could help on, I think all that should be sent to us. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. And then what we can do is if we can put that on an agenda item in our next meeting, and in our next meeting, we'll be able to formulate what we need to do, and then we'll find out when the next Board of Selectmen meeting is and go from there.
All right.
I took this job back when I was first appointed on the Housing Authority because I knew that I could make a difference, number one, and I knew I could bring the Housing Authority to the level that it needed to be. It's been 20 years for the land that's out on Dudley Road. We've had one phase that was built, we had the second phase, and this third phase has been on the books for 20 years. We knew that we were going to build it. This is no surprise to anybody that's in town. All right, so we have been approved for a feasibility study, and I still feel that we need to move forward with that, and we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
3.2, form a letter to State Sheila Harrington. To State Representative Sheila Harrington. Did you guys get a chance to take a look at that? I put that together in response to when we had our last meeting. Sheila made it very clear. She says, I think you should put that in a letter to me and I'll bring it forward. Jody, did you take a peek at that as well?
Was this emailed? Was this emailed?
From Chaz to me. Did you want it emailed to
No,
me?
no. I was wondering if I should have seen it before today. That's what I was
No, I don't
wondering.
think so.
Okay,
I don't
just
know
checking.
if I did or not. I don't think
I was not instructed to. I'm
I don't think,
sorry.
no. I
That's
don't
okay.
think I don't
I'll
think
read
I-
it now. It's fine. I
Yep.
just wanted to make sure.
Wondering if I should read this on record. If we're gonna vote on it, I really should then.
You should.
Okay.
Why not?
Representative Sheila C. Harrington, First Middlesex District. Best greetings, Sheila. I first want to thank you for all of your assistance and guidance over the last few years with the Townsend Housing Authority. As a small municipality, we have always been striving for expansive aspirations, and you have constantly met us where we were at and ushered us in the proper direction to achieve our anticipated goals. Your understanding of the legislature, coupled with your collaborative problem-solving skills, have allowed for assisting us with our efforts of expanding affordable housing production planning in our community. It is in this mindset that I am asking again for your assistance and guidance with our current efforts to answer Governor Baker's current urgent message for increasing the Commonwealth's housing production while meeting our own community needs for affordable housing. I am writing you today in hopes of finding any available informational and financial resources within the Commonwealth to allow for Townsend to increase both affordable housing options and housing production in general. Just this last month, the Housing Authority has gathered information from our townspeople regarding what they feel our housing needs are within the municipality. The information gathered from both the survey from a planning board committee and the Townsend Housing Authority Community Housing Forum proved that there is a significant need for affordable housing options with several distinct populations within our community. These populations were identified as low-income families, 55 and older individuals, military veterans to include individuals, veterans and their families, disabled and or homeless veterans, families of deceased veterans, and affordable senior housing. These are our identified main focus demographics that the Townsend Housing Authority is looking to assist in the immediate future. In the low-income populations, there was a high number of single mothers with children that are in desperate need of affordable housing that, because of the county division standards, cannot afford the affordable rate assigned to Townsend. Because communities like Cambridge are in Middlesex County, income standards become skewed drastically within the state as median income. Oh, that's not the whole thing.
But not how most leave it.
Yep. Townsend cannot be averaged or compared with that of a community like Cambridge. In Townsend, approximately 15.21% of the population for whom poverty status is determined, live below the poverty line, a number that is higher than the national average of 13.4%. As stated above, the largest demographic living in poverty in our community are females 35 to 74, followed by females 75 plus, and then females 65 to 74. Townsend currently does not have any affordable housing for this demographic and is actively seeking alternatives to support this and several other populations in great need. We also have no available options for any veteran housing and have been trying for over 5 years now to provide for this population. In the Townsend Housing Authority's Housing Production Plan for 2015, we have earmarked veterans housing as a focus, but have had difficulty in getting the proper planning in place for town approval. Townsend would love to join the governor's efforts to increasing housing production within the Commonwealth by seeking direction and collaboration from you and other state representatives for out-of-the-box thinking. Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito outlined and encouraged this thinking at the Municipal Partnerships Conference at Holy Cross in Worcester this month, and our board is in full agreement of this philosophy and therefore seek the Commonwealth's assistance. The THA is currently working on developing a 11.5 acre parcel of land held in trust for the needy in Townsend, which would need the Commonwealth's support and financial assistance in order to come to fruition. Our current vision is to utilize this parcel to build multi-use, affordable, large unit cluster housing that encompasses the above demographics. Our current thoughts are making sure we have the best use of this parcel of land by increasing the affordable housing inventory, reducing the current wait list at the senior housing facility, increasing affordable age-restrictive housing, and assisting our veterans with age-in-place affordable housing. I would love to have the opportunity to meet with individuals who can assist with us in our quest for more affordable housing in our community. We also need to review and change the criteria for affordability within each district and make some legislative changes as directed by immediate income levels rather than district levels. Simply, an affordable unit pricing in Cambridge cannot be afforded in a community like Townsend, and therefore is not equitable and should be adjusted accordingly. We are looking to provide better affordable options to retain our aging population base and finding ways to increase our housing options to a younger demographic to balance out our population. With this in mind, we are also targeting ways to ease restrictive zoning laws by revisiting our bylaws and seeking ways to increase housing in general. Any help you may have for us will be greatly appreciated. I again thank you for all your help and feel free to contact me with any questions, comments, or concerns you may have regarding our housing issues. I'm always open for any and all suggestions and invite you and anyone who would like to come out to Townsend and sit with us to discuss any available options. Okay. The portion of it that I want to thank you, Jody, for that. The one portion that she definitely wanted in there was the affordability on Cambridge, the Cambridge part and all of that. Did that address what she wanted us to address?
Yep, I
want
believe
to
so.
make sure that is.
Yes.
I also think that last time that Sheila had wanted a letter like this, she had asked a couple of, I guess Secretary Ash came out. There's a couple that came out. So if we could just kind of understand that we may get a request to have them out here, so we need to, you know, kind of on the fly, because that's how it happens. I know that Sheila had talked about usually towards the end of the week is when they do a lot of their traveling within state, and if this Townsend hits wherever they're going to be traveling, she'll probably call us up like around Tuesday and say we're going to be there Thursday or Friday, you know what I mean? So it's going to be that kind of stuff. If need be, that's when I'll be able to contact Jody. so we can kind of get things all set up. Basically, my main concern is that the information gets out in regards to that imbalance of equitability, to build equitability for that.
Definitely.
So the next thing would be, you know, if you guys are okay with that, then we can, I'd entertain a motion to accept this, and I can give it to Jody to send out.
Make a motion to accept the letter? Is it the letter?
Second?
Second.
Second. Very well written as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
The motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, so what I'll do is, how do you want me to do this? I just want to sign it. So how about if I send a color copy to you and then with signature and you can send it out, or?
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Or I can actually scan a color copy and,
I can't print a color copy.
yeah.
I mean, it depends if, I might be able to find a color copy on land use.
I'll drop it off to you.
That's perfect.
I'll drop it off. 3.3, 2019 Housing Forum, review discussion of draft report. The draft report is attached, is it? Yes. I want to thank MRPC for this. I always enjoy working with them because their turnaround is very quick usually. In it would be copies of a basic description, introduction of what the Housing Forum was, a summary of findings based upon the input, the questions that, it outlines what the questions were and what the input that we got. It includes a flyer that had gone out showing how we advertised for it. There's a registration sheet, the people who were there at the Housing Forum, the agenda for the forum itself. And then I had sent over the PowerPoint that I did, and I can't think of his name. That's awful. The gentleman from MRPC.
John, you?
John, yes. I had sent that over, and John wanted to attach it to this as well. The reason why I wanted to put it in front of you is that I can, the Master Plan Committee is looking for this information as well. Do you know what else we need to, who we need to file this with?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can find out.
Okay. I'm not sure if we need to send it out to everybody, like all the boards. I don't know how that works. I guess that might be a Lindsay question.
Yeah, let me give you files or reach out to Karen. and see
Okay,
what-
that would be good, to see who we needed to do. I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a formal acceptance, just so we have that on the record.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept this.
Motion to accept, make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion to accept the Public Housing Forum that was submitted by MRPC and seconded. Any more discussion on this?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. I know this is, Jody, this also has to go with our housing production plan that we do. This is like our first step to this. In those files, didn't we talk about looking at the housing production plan that we did back in 2015? I do, and I think I actually pulled one out of my stuff, because I know I remember working on it when I first started on the Housing Authority. That usually is done in conjunction with the Land Use Office. So that's something that we need to slate that need to be done. The sooner we get that completed now, it's going to be for 2020. That has to be completed. We need to vote on it, and that goes to the state as well.
Okay.
Could you, when you find out from Karen, just let me know. I'd like to submit it to the Land Use Office so that they can then in turn submit it to the Master Plan Committee, or should we send that direct? That's why I'm thinking if we send it to the I think we send it to the planning board.
Okay.
So the planning board gets it, and then they in turn forward it to the master plan committee.
Okay.
I also wanted to, under 3.3.2, I'd like to do a follow-up and thank you letter. Do you think you'd be able to put something together for us? For MRPC, for helping us
Oh,
out with
sure.
that. To thank them for, because we did that with the Delta grant, DLTA grant, and that there was a miscommunication on a couple of things, but they did a little extra by helping us out with the report. We in turn threw in the food ourselves since we had a budget, you know. So I think a nice letter to them would be,
Okay.
if you could orchestrate
Yeah,
that
I
for
can
me.
orchestrate that. As long as I have I should have the address correct. The address to send it to them.
For MRPC.
Yes. Is it in the?
Well, get the letter and
I'll send it to you.
and we'll all sign it,
Okay,
because I'd like to
okay.
make sure that we all are a part of it.
I'll do it this weekend.
Because we were a part of that, and I was very happy to see everybody there.
Yeah, definitely.
3.4, feasibility study for Dudley Road. I kind of wanted Lindsay to be here for that. But I think we can discuss a little bit. The reason why I wanted to put it on here is this is the second time that it's been on here, and it's been communicated that I think the last time was that it was been advised that we not go forward with the feasibility study. Actually, the town council said it's either way. It's pretty much our decision. There's no wrong, right or wrong. Again, the reason why I want to bring this up is because I have issues with that. Number one is we had brought this to the town vote, and the town voted to allow us to do a feasibility study. Now, from what is being told to me is that we need to wait until the next article that we have to go on there needs to go in front of the town. And that article merely is to take the remaining land out of the trust and give it to the Board of Selectmen so that they in turn can allow us to develop that, okay? That article, as far as I'm concerned, has nothing to do with a feasibility study. Feasibility study is going to tell us not only what we can build there, but it's going to look at the population of Townsend. It's going to look at, you know, what we have available to us to be able to develop that land. The comment in our last meeting was something to the effect of, if we went ahead and did the feasibility study, it would be a waste of the taxpayers' money, right? That I disagree with. We've already been approved for this money.
Right.
We are looking to build. We are going to build on here. We've already established 20 plus years ago that we were building a third phase to this, which I'm still very, very confused as to why we need to wait for the town meeting. What say you? You know, I'm really kind of.
Why are we waiting? We have the approval, so why don't, we're gonna get different, what code's different, to do the feasibility, is that that's what we're doing?
Wasn't also part of the discussion last time was that we should do the kind of test pits for septic, or, you know, testing for septic before we moved ahead with the
Right.
feasibility
And that's
study.
not necessary.
No?
That is
Okay.
really not necessary. We did, previous to this, we have walked, and Jody, you can check with Karen Chapman on this, because Karen and I and the town engineer and 2 other people walked the land. He looked at what the land is, and he said that this, you know, we've already had it scoped out. We had it
Yeah.
scoped out when we first had the parcel back with Townsend Woods, Atwood Acres. It's all, I mean, this is the third phase to what it is.
So what's the
We're
way?
not at the point to dig test holes
Yeah.
for that, but there can be facilities that are built there. You know, we've already had that. It baits the question to me is that waiting for the town to vote on getting this, that is one of the first steps, and that seems to be the first step that we always are getting obstacles for. Which says to me that, you know, there's some opposition to the fact that we want to develop this land. It's already been left to the town. The town has used the first two parcels. The first one was a multi-use, it wasn't a senior center, the first building that was built. The second building was built for senior housing. Our proposal now is just, you know, we originally thought it would be for veterans. That was tabled. The town didn't see that there was a need for it. So that then sparked us to say, well, if the town feels that there's no need for veterans, then we need to find out what, you know, what this parcel of land is going to be.
Yeah.
Ergo, this is why we put forward for the feasibility study. Now we're being told that we have to wait until the you know.
My question, who's telling us this though?
Plus,
What-
when the
what-
land use coordinators told us the last time that she's advising us that we should wait until we're getting the.
My question to that is, what chain, okay, I'm gonna use it. What chain of command are we following? What do we have to, what are the steps? What does Sheila say? What are we supposed to do? We have the permission to do it, so why can't we do it? Why aren't we doing it? Who's stopping us from doing it? We've done all the steps. This is new to me too. But why is land use saying one thing? What housing authority? That land is to help, you know, it's to build affordable housing. What is going on? Why are we being stuck in the mud? Why don't we just move forward?
Again,
What are
the
you-
comment was that we should wait until to see if the town was going to take the land out of the trust.
Why are we waiting? Why is that part of the procedure?
That's been my question.
So who has the answer?
The last time we were here, that was my question.
So who
I
has
still
the
don't get
answer?
it.
Who has the answer? We've got the governor's office. Who has the answer? Sheila Harrington? Who has the answer then?
We have the answer.
Then let's do it. We have it. We got the okay. So what's stopping us? I'm just asking. As a citizen, we got the permissions to do it. Why aren't we doing it? We're supposed to be doing it. This is what we're here for. We're here to help the people, bottom line, to get affordable housing into Townsend. And land use isn't Townsend Housing Authority. We're Townsend Housing Authority. So why aren't we doing it? I don't understand why we're stuck, you know, why are our hands tied? Who's tying our hands is my question, and why are we allowing that to happen?
That's my question
So
as
let's
well.
just do it. We don't have to get the permission. We already got the permission to do it. So let's just do it. Why are they making it so difficult? There's no reason for it. We're the authority. We're the housing authority. We've got, like you said, everything the town's telling us in the forums and everything. So what's stopping us?
A formal vote to instruct the land use coordinator to go forward with sending out the letters to the people we have identified for the feasibility study.
I thought we didn't need a feasibility study to do the feasibility study.
No, we just
Okay.
need to instruct the
Okay.
land use coordinator to do
to
it.
do it.
We instruct them that. We just do it, we instruct them that.
Did you have any comments in this?
I have no idea.
I feel like I have still getting up to speed on what the previous politics are behind what's happening.
I'll answer any question you want.
Oh, yeah.
Did we ever have any trouble getting out of the trust beforehand on any of the other parcels?
No.
So there would be no indication that this would be a problem this time to get it out of trust, or the way that we have to do it, correct? There'd be no, nothing that makes us feel like that part isn't going to happen, right? That's,
Okay.
All right.
What are we waiting for?
History says that the last two times we did this,
yeah,
we partnered with RCAP Solutions, which is the management company that manages both of these buildings.
Yep.
So RCAP Solutions was the one that we partnered with.
Hi.
Hey, Sheila.
Sorry. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Guess who's here?
Yes, Susie.
We need you.
Okay.
you.
Well, and I had, sorry, I got held up, but I also wanted to give you this. This is the, before I forget, that's the talking points on that housing bill.
Oh, good, good. Housing choice.
Yeah, it hasn't passed yet, but
All right.
at least we know what's in it.
I'm gonna hold off on this.
Okay.
All right. You ready? We had the past two facilities were with the management company, and we had put out in an article to the town saying that the management entity and the housing authority are combining to do this project.
Yep.
And we're asking to take it out of the trust and put
At
it
that
into,
time.
at that time.
Okay.
Okay. Originally, 20 years ago, we or the housing authority at that particular time said we're going to do it in 3 phases. We're not
Yep.
going to do it all at once. So each phase did this separately.
Yep.
Okay.
So you took a piece out each time you were about to do the project.
Yes.
Got it.
Which the remaining land stayed as in the
trust.
In the trust.
Got it.
This time, we had 5 years ago, and that's actually when you and I started working together on this, was that because of the vote of the housing authority 10 years ago, I think it was, when they did the last
project.
the last thing,
Yeah.
they said that they were earmarking it towards veterans. So we were working with Sheila on what we needed to do to get this set up for the
Yep.
veterans housing. So it was decided that we are going to go forward with the veterans housing, and we had looked at several different organizations to partner with, like RCAP Solution.
Yep.
So we found a veterans organization that we thought we were going to be going with.
Yep.
So we then again put an article in front of the town,
Yep.
which says that, you know, we want to be able to do this just like we did before.
Yeah.
But what we did was we named the veterans agency that we wanted to partner with.
Yeah.
And the town came back, or there was some pushback because of there wasn't enough veterans
remember
in
hearing
the
about
town.
this.
There
Yep.
wasn't, you know, so the pushback was that the housing authority took in was that there was question on the need for this particular project.
Yep.
So what we in turn thought was, because they tabled that at town meeting, we said, why don't we do this? Why don't we do a feasibility study?
Find out what we need it for.
Which would be the
Yep.
next step, right?
Yep.
So we went in front of the town the following meeting, and we got approved for $35,000 for a feasibility study to see what we can build on this land.
Yep.
And that's where we're at right now,
Correct.
okay?
And so now they're saying we should wait to get it out of the trust before we go ahead with the feasibility study. And we're saying we've already been approved by the town to do a feasibility study on this piece of property. Therefore, we do not need to wait until that happens, because theoretically we could do the feasibility study, figure out what the project is, and even take it out of the trust then.
And taking it out of
Okay.
trust is not a big deal. That's the
Yeah,
easiest
I'm
part.
just trying to understand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so the deliberation here is that I'm really not trying to throw anybody out under the bus here when I say this. The question was, do we go ahead with the feasibility study, or do we wait until we pull the land out of the trust to the selectmen?
I don't think you have to wait, because I think the feasibility study can be, I mean, so what I don't know is in the trust paperwork, does the town have to vote to take it out of the trust, or can you as the board do that?
It was put in front of the town both the other times that they did it.
Okay, so if the town has authorized the feasibility study, the thought is they've authorized the feasibility study because of the fact that it's going to come out of the trust, right? So I wouldn't think, if you only had to get the board to do it, why not get it out? The only thing I also don't know though is if you take it out of that trust, are there any other implications? Like, meaning it's protected probably as a charitable trust right now from any kind of taxation or whatever. Do you have to get a separate a separate tax ID number? Because it's no longer in a charitable trust. That's my only concern, because you're not going to own it outright.
We are also wanting to put an article in front of the town to create a affordable housing trust.
Okay, so then what I think I would do is get that article in there first.
Before the land
Yeah,
trust.
and then have it conveyed to the Affordable Housing Trust. Because I don't think the feasibility study, whether it's earmarked by, so to speak, by the town as housing authority land that they've authorized the feasibility study on in partnership with the Townsend Housing Authority, or it's in another charitable trust, which it would be if you put it in the Townsend Housing Authority trust.
Right.
The only difference I think would be once you put it in the the Affordable Housing Trust, you'd have more control because presumably you'd be the trustees and things like that. So you'd be able to have a little more, I guess, autonomy from the Board of Selectmen if you did it that way. Because I think that was sort of one of the things last year we grappled with is we sort of felt like this was a separate political entity from the town, but it is and it isn't. It really wasn't, because everything we do with it needs their authorization.
Correct. So what the article states that was drafted, that was supposed to be last year, it takes it out of the Atwood Acres Charitable Trust and puts it to the selectmen, the Board of Selectmen, to allow us to be able to do what we need to do with it.
So do we need to do it through the Board of Selectmen, or could we just go right from one trust to another trust?
That's what I'm thinking we can do.
So maybe that would be,
That's what it is.
okay.
But then we could run that path concurrently, right? Because the feasibility study is going to take some time.
Yep.
So we could be running the feasibility study while setting up our own trust in order to turn it over at that time.
And that's
Is that
been my
right?
argument for 2 months.
Okay, got it.
That's, I mean, does it make sense?
It makes sense. What are we waiting for?
Um,
That's what I'm wondering.
So if this is a home rule, so this is a home rule petition then that you would be putting together. So does this still have to go through the town meeting vote and everything? Okay, it has to do the whole.
That one, this is what we drafted. Before we named the veterans organization that we were thinking of working with, and the town tabled that.
Right.
Because they weren't really sure if we had a need for veterans housing. So we wanted to make this,
Okay.
we wanted to do the feasibility study to guarantee that what the need was in the town.
Yeah.
So we asked for the feasibility study, and then we were putting this on for the
Okay.
next one.
So I don't think you have to wait on the feasibility study because they've already authorized it.
Yep.
And the presumption is you're not thinking of it unless you're thinking of using the land.
Correct.
So they're gonna have to do something with it.
Correct.
So I think you could keep it there while you're doing this, but get the feasibility study started.
Correct, and the argument, well, it's not an argument, but it was advised by the land use office that we wait until this gets passed or not passed before we do the feasibility study, because it would be a misuse of town funds.
I don't understand the angle on that one.
Okay, so
See? Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, I don't see
You
how
have
you
approval.
use town funds, because the feasibility study isn't really at all affected by the transfer of title.
Right.
It's just the decision of
It's the
whether they're.
formality.
Yeah, it's the formality of it. And this actually, file and prosecutors petition for in a court of competent jurisdiction. I don't know why you even have to go that way. I don't know why you have to get a declaratory judgment in a court to allow you to go before the general court. I don't understand that step.
I don't either. Is this the
So
right
it
one?
says, it authorizes the Board of Selectmen to file and prosecute a petition for declaratory judgment in a court of competent jurisdiction, which obviously could be, I don't know, land court, it could be.
Land court, yeah.
Okay. And then it says, but then it says, comma, to petition the general court. So normally, when people bring a home rule petition before the general court, they don't have to have gotten it approved by another court first.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't understand that, and that might be something town council could explain.
Yeah.
But why would you have to file an action? Like, does that, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Does it?
I had, the one that I had was very specific, and I wrote it exactly like it was written for the last 2 parcels that we did.
Yeah.
But instead of using the management company that we used for the last 2 parcels, I used the veteran's name. And we had decided that, I talked with town council, and he advised us to be more, I forget the term, vanilla, with not being specific, don't name something specific.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Okay, so that's.
Yeah, I'm just confused of the 2 steps. To petition the general court under applicable law for special legislation and/or to pursue such other similar legal actions may be necessary to make available for future sale and redevelopment. Yet,
Could
not
it
yet.
be
but-
in the case that we needed to do something else with it?
I guess my thing is, why wouldn't you just be bringing an article that the town transfer the dissolve? So here's the thing. So when you dissolve a charitable trust like that, the Attorney General's office is brought into play.
Correct.
So if I were going to find out from anybody how to do this, I would call someone at the AG's office.
Okay.
Okay, because they have a whole charitable trust division.
Okay.
And I think, I can do that. I can't do it tomorrow, but I could do it next week. And I have a good contact at the AG's office that we could call. Because it seems like we're going a few extra steps around here. I think that, and there's also this thing called Cypre or something with charitable trusts, so to speak, that if somebody does something for a charitable purpose, it has to be in a comparable one.
Yep.
And if you're transferring it from one housing trust to really another housing trust to help people, I think it would be fine with the AG's office. I just don't know why you need a declaratory judgment.
Okay. So the the premise behind.
I can find that out, though. I will
Okay,
find that
I'd
out.
appreciate
If
it
I
if
can
you
have a
could
photocopy, can I have
You can have that,
Okay,
actually.
thanks.
My premise behind it is that if we had a affordable housing trust fund set up, that then would be able to accept the land,
Right, right.
and that would keep the land within the town. Whereas before, for instance, the other 2 parcels, which is the last piece of what we were talking
Went
about.
directly to that developer, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And we have nothing to do with that anymore. This is, we will retain the town will retain ownership of it. The only thing is that the affordable trust would be the trustees of that, correct?
Right, the new trust would be
Right.
the trustees of it, which I would think the Townsend Housing Authority would be the trustees.
Right.
Yeah, and then you wouldn't have to kind of like run everything through the selectmen before you do it.
Yep.
Because it seems like they approve what you want normally, other than that town meeting.
And what I was
Yeah.
proposing when we set up the trust is to have several different members of several different boards on the trust, so that it's
Right.
not just the housing
Right.
authority. It would be somebody from planning, somebody from.
Well, so here's the one thing, you can set up the trust anyway.
Yep.
The only thing you would need the home rule petition to is authority to transfer it from one trust to the other trust.
So, my question to you is, would it be better for us to talk with town council to maybe, if we set up this affordable housing trust, have it from the current trust to the new trust that we set
Yeah,
up?
that's what I would think you would be wanting to do.
Instead of to the selectmen.
Yeah, because I don't know, I guess what I don't know is, and I know I've looked at the documents before, But do you have to have a home rule petition to transfer it from Atwood to the Affordable Trust? If the terms of the trust allow it, I would think you could do it without a home rule petition. And I just forget, I know I've went through them, but sometimes there's language that the trustees have the ability to transfer them into another trust.
Yep.
Or to reinvest and whatever and this and that and the
So
other
if
thing.
I'm looking at the trust agreement, what section?
Well,
am I
if
looking
you
at?
look at powers of the trustee would be one.
Okay.
Dissolution of the trust would be another. Those would be the two, because normally the powers of the trustee would be near the beginning and the dissolution would be near the end. But and I'm happy to look at that too if you want to send me a PDF of that if you have one.
Your person sent me that. I can resend it to you.
Oh, I sent you the.
Yeah, because remember I gave you that
Yeah.
big folder, and,
Yeah.
and your office actually scanned it for me.
Right, okay, then I have it then. I have the Atwood one as well? Okay, all right. So let me go look at that and I'll see if I can figure that one out. Because if the powers are already there and the trustees that are there are people who are now living and they have the power to transfer it or reinvest it or whatever, as long as they keep it in the same purpose and whatever, I don't know that you'd even have to go to the general court.
So,
Not that I
That
think it would
was-
have a hard time passing in the general court,
Right.
but
all we
usually,
need to do is to prove that this land is actually going to the needy.
right, to the same purpose.
Yes.
And that's why there's usually a little give and take in those trusts, that you can do what you need to make it serve the purpose of the trust.
Right.
So if that better serves the purpose of the trust, it might already be written in there that you could do it.
It goes from one trust
Yeah,
to the other.
this
without-
just seems like weird. This seems like I'm not a town council, obviously, but I don't know why you would go get a declaratory judgment from the land court. What would you? Because it doesn't even say what your declaratory judgment is for. Like that, what you're the owner?
That's actually French.
Yeah, well, normally when you get a declaratory judgment, it's because you're trying to establish some basic fact, like, okay, with all the evidence in front of you, it's impossible not to find blank.
Okay.
So you motion for a declaratory judgment. If you're going for a declaratory judgment on something like this, my assumption would be you'd be like almost filing like a fake action, not fake, but you know what I mean, like you're not a contested action,
Right.
but just an action to establish that this is that, and then that can be recorded at the registry so that the title flows
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
But I think you might so even if you wanted to do that, I still think you would go through the general court, and then that statute would speak for itself too. I don't know that you need both.
Right. And then it gets.
Yeah, because then it would be statutory.
Yeah.
Let me, yeah, and you know what,
If
I'll
you
call.
can- If you can look at that.
Okay, and there's a guy that the House Counsel is really good at knowing what you really have to do.
Okay.
So sometimes I bring him stuff from the towns and he's like, nope, you can't do that.
Yeah. But I do, and I'm gonna say it again, I feel that we need to go forward with the feasibility study.
I do too.
I agree.
I think they've authorized it, so I think you're
Yeah.
good to go on that one.
Yeah.
So I'd entertain a motion for us to ask the land use coordinator to go forward with the feasibility study.
Motion. Yeah, make a motion to do what you just said.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta do the feasibility study.
And second.
Yeah.
Motion's made and seconded. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, like sign? Okay. So, how do you want me to do that, Jody? Would you like me to send an email to Lindsay outlining that, or?
Yeah, that's fine, just CC me.
Okay.
We originally
Especially-
had a list of places that we were possibly going out to for that.
Yeah, I've
And-
periodically, I actually picked up the one that you talked about last meeting.
I'm trying to think of who I was talking about. The Lexington one, the Concord one there?
Yeah, the Concord one,
okay.
and there was another
Yeah.
one on the south something or other.
Yeah, there was,
I can't remember what it is, but I
I wrote
looked
it
it
I
up.
don't remember it now.
I actually called, well, I filled out information about, you know how they do the comments here, and I sent it in. And I had a gentleman call me, he called me from like Missouri or something. I'm like, well, we're in a little town in Massachusetts. He goes, I don't know, he says, we deal with places all over the world. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So I told him what we did, and he said, yep, we do that, absolutely,
So I guess this was the thing, this was the only thing I'm worried about with that model is, so the charitable trust, basically, the whole purpose of this is to make sure that you keep having affordable housing.
Yeah.
And so I think we talked a little bit about the affordable housing units that were in Townsend, and nobody was there to buy them at that, so then they went for market rate, and they're out of the system now.
Yeah.
So what I worry about if they're sales, if they're actually being sold.
I wanted to do rentals.
I want to, and I mean, it's not up to me, but I don't like the idea of selling these. You know, and I know there's, I might have even mentioned that, I remember there was like a thing like this in, where was it? It was outside of Concord, that area, but it was cooperative.
There was a Lincoln Woburn cooperative.
Lincoln
housing.
and Woburn both had cooperative ones.
Yeah.
So that you can maybe build some equity in it and take some equity out, but it's still, you can't walk away with it and you can't sell it to somebody for market value.
Right.
That it has to turn over, because you don't want to also be in the position of having to try to buy these units, because you won't have the revenue, sustaining revenue to buy any, you know what I mean? That's why I feel like, okay, so, because I was nervous about the selling of some things.
And I took your conversation, and I actually talked to a couple of people in the state and other towns and they agree with you.
Yeah,
And if
okay.
we're trying to retain, keep the value within the town,
Yeah.
you really should rent. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
We can let the outside builders try to get the 40B units to get your numbers up, but
Yeah.
it would behoove the authority, I think, to keep their units.
Right.
Whatever you build, anyway.
And
So
that's
this guy
fine.
from Missouri who wants to come out and take a look, or?
Well, not him personally. They got people all over the world.
People.
Excuse me. He works outside of his house.
Okay.
You know. So.
Yeah. Well, that's so weird that he called you that quickly.
Yeah, he did. And I said, he says, "What are you looking for?" And I told him what we were doing, and he goes, "Oh, we're very interested," he said. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I gave the information to Lindsay about that one. And the other one that we talked about too, I forgot, the Cambridge one. Was it Cambridge?
Yeah, but the median price is like a gazillion billion dollars.
Yeah.
That's the other thing with purchasing. If these people could afford that, they probably, are going to buy a house at some point anyway.
Yep.
Right,
But we're looking at the people who can't buy.
right.
Yep. And we had, we actually, earlier on our agenda, I had written a letter to you. Actually, since Sheila's here, if we can print one out, I'll sign it.
Yeah, sure.
We can give that to her. It's the letter that you had requested in regards to what we've been doing and what we're looking for. And it addresses the inequity from Cambridge property to Townsend. Because what's affordable in Cambridge is not affordable here.
Right. No, not at all.
Yeah. Affordable housing in Cambridge is $325,000.
Yeah, right. If that, it's probably higher,
It's
yeah.
probably
I
higher.
can't even afford that.
Yeah, right?
Ever since they got rid of that rent control, it's been,
Oh my God.
So I'm
all right.
I'm happy with that discussion.
Okay,
I'm
good.
very, very happy with that
Okay.
discussion. You guys.
And I'll see if there's a way to streamline. I just think this seems like more steps than maybe
We
needed.
need to. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Not to second guess House Council, Town Council.
Yeah, and that's not what it is. And
Yeah.
my concern number one for me is that I want to be able to keep this moving forward. I just because of what we've gone through, when somebody says we need to wait for such and such, it just frustrates me even more because we've been waiting for a long time.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's number one. Number two is when it's my goal is not to waste anybody's funds, right? The fact of the matter is the land was given to the town for the purpose of helping the needy. This is helping the needy, so we need to do, the only thing that can go on this land is something that fits into the affordable housing
My argument would be by not pushing these things forward, we're wasting that land.
Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Like, I don't know why the town would want to waste the opportunity to make this work.
Well, then people could be working and living in Townsend or whatever.
I know.
It's for the, like I said, it's the bottom line. We're here for the people.
Yeah, and
With
the
our
housing crisis is
Yeah,
just out of
exactly,
control.
and that's
Exactly.
and that's the housing forum. The feedback that we got from
Mhm.
that says that we need
Yep.
to be more proactive in what we're doing to increase the housing in
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
I wonder if there would be a way too to like maybe talk to some local builders and say,
Kevin's.
give us your best pitch.
That's
You know?
that's
Yeah.
the next step. You know, I'm trying to slow the roll and be advantageous in our next steps,
Right,
because
right.
we've you know.
Right.
So part of it is, let's get the approval. We got the approval for the feasibility study. Now let's get the trust up and running. All right, that would be the next step.
Yeah.
Once we get the trust up and running, then we'll fund it. How do we fund it?
Move it up.
We have
Yeah.
the land.
Right, right, and $5 or something
Yes,
like that.
right, right.
Yeah.
So that's where my thought is, and correct
Okay.
me if you guys
Yeah.
have,
Nope.
that the way in which I see it is we're doing it in very calculated steps.
So-
and we have a direction on where
Yeah.
we need to go.
So the direction though now, because the veterans thing didn't pan out as we'd like, the direction now is just, are we still looking at like, we're looking not at just elder, we're looking at people needs-based
Yeah.
affordable housing,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Family units as well as,
Well, that thing with,
Our current vision is to utilize this parcel to build multi-use, affordable, large unit cluster housing that encompasses the above demographics. Our current thoughts are making sure we have the best use of this parcel of land by increasing the affordable housing inventory, reducing the current wait list at our senior housing facility, increasing affordable age-restrictive housing, and assisting our veterans in age-in-place affordable
Perfect.
housing.
you know, I think I mentioned this to you, there was an organization too that, I know I've talked to you about it, years ago was trying to take over Vicksburg Square.
Yeah.
And that was almost boilerplate what was in their goal, and they were out of Quincy, and I want to say they were called Trinity or something. But I remember when they came in to talk to me, somebody at the State House came in my office after and said, they're really, really good. Like they do high quality work and everybody's pleased with it. So I'll try to figure out who they were.
Okay.
The people in the towns voted it down, but it would be,
And that for us, that land is limited for the use. The use has to
Right.
be for the needy, right?
Right.
This falls in line with exactly what our mission statement is and what we've been trying to do.
Right.
And I actually am a little more motivated that we are doing multi-use as opposed to
Yeah.
doing just one population.
well, also, yeah, because you do want to also get younger families in town that
Correct.
would be priced out of it otherwise.
I think it's nice to have that community of different people though in
Yeah,
the same place too.
yeah, I
Like,
think so,
creates
too.
more of a vibrant,
Yeah.
you know.
I think you're right.
And it's not, I don't want the townspeople to think that this is going to be, when they think of affordable housing, people think of projects. This
Yeah.
is not a project. This is for, in the letter I did, I outlined several populations, and the majority of the populations in need for Townsend are women with children, younger women with
Yep.
children, older women who are alone.
Single, yep.
And there was another population that was in there as well, I forgot.
the veterans, not necessarily to the veterans, but
Right.
you've got the
But there are some
retirees.
veterans
Yeah.
needs
Yeah.
and senior housing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
part of the senior housing, this was something that I came up with a while ago, is that if we have a multi-unit building, one building that has, 10 units in it,
Right.
those units can be temporary units for people who want to move into senior housing that are on the wait list,
Right.
that need to get out of their housing unit. We're keeping them in town by using this temporary unit until they can actually move in.
Right. Yeah, no, that's perfect.
So.
Because
it-
that is a hardship when you've got
I
someone
don't,
in dire
I don't
need
think
and
it would
it's
be in
now-
our best interest to build a 50-unit senior housing, and 20 years from now, we're not gonna have the population to fill it.
No.
So I
yeah.
that's where I want to caution.
And your, I
Yeah.
don't have it right here, but the numbers, even like in your younger people, your schools,
Yes.
they're decreasing
Yep.
pretty
Yep.
substantially too.
Yeah.
But the senior population is going up because they did it, there was a survey that was done, I think.
Yeah.
And I think they said 265% in like the
Wow.
next 10 years.
Yeah.
It is going to be huge.
And we've got, luckily we have the senior center,
Yeah.
which is great. It's a really good place. A lot of people from Dudley and Atwood Acres go
Yeah.
to. And it's growing. I mean, I volunteer
Yeah.
there once a week, but you see it growing.
Yeah,
growing.
you guys have
we
one
have
of
a
the
lot.
best senior
Oh, yeah.
situations
Oh,
of
yeah.
any
We
town.
have-
Yeah.
but we also
Library,
have,
yeah.
there's a gentleman that wants to build a walking path
Yeah.
from this land
Yeah.
back to the senior center,
Yep.
which, you know, is,
Ideal.
yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
Conservation land,
Yeah, and
everything.
he's getting
Yeah.
funding, he's getting
that would be
interest.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it would also be good if you had like, a family, so they could walk to the library.
Yeah,
Right, right, right.
so,
Right,
That'd
so
be
there's
perfect.
so many benefits to it. But I'll take this and I'll take this, and those will be my marching orders.
So that kind of dovetailed into our 3.5, the article discussion. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is the next steps. Jody, did you say this is the draft article? Was that?
It's just a plain piece of paper with
Yep, here it is, yeah. So that is the proposed draft article for our trust.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, which that contradicts to me why this would have to, this proposed article. I like that one.
Right, so, are you, I'm agreeing with you that I think that we should, the next special town meeting, when and if we have that, I would like to just, I think our next step would be to set up the trust, to put the trust in there, and not put the land use in there.
Right.
Get the trust set up, and then we can work with town council
Yep.
to be able to get that next article.
And he
We-
maybe just has to put he may be trying to get a declaratory judgment just as that this has happened so that he can put it on the title,
Yeah.
recorded at the registry. That could be
That's what I'm thinking that he had
Yeah.
to, because each one of those were recorded that way.
right. So there's got to be something to tie it all together at the registry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
It may be probate court that you have to go through because of the trust aspect of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. But I think this would be the best way for us to go, the next step.
Right.
So if we're out looking for feasibility studies,
We could show.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But I think
We
that-
could show that for
Right.
when we get to that next step.
Right. But I think the fact that you've already gotten the vote to authorize the feasibility study is the most important thing to show.
Right. Right. So
That
that's,
you have the towns.
and that's why I wanted to move forward on it. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy to. Now I feel better because for 2 months I've been very uncomfortable about that whole thing.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Well, I don't like to question myself. And I do it all the time. Then I
I'm
start
always thinking
talking
I'm
to-
wrong.
Right. People walk by my office, they're going, "Oh, he's a counselor and he's talking to
Oh,
himself. What's
oh,
going
yeah,
on
right.
here?" You
I
know?
don't know if I want to go in that.
Yeah.
If they only knew your inner turmoil.
Oh, come in. I'm just worried
No,
about the
just-
trust
yeah,
fund.
don't even- yeah, don't mind me.
Okay, so I guess we could have a motion to accept this. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is written here because I don't have a problem with it.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Trust, the warrant.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So I will also let Lindsay know that this is okay. By vote 11-14. Isn't it nice when we get things moving right along?
I know. I don't even want to know if I want to interrupt, but wondering why Laura's not here. 'Cause this is bad.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today all day too.
We'll talk off camera.
Okay.
So.
Oh, we're on camera? Oh, I see. Oh, wow. I'll try not to say anything stupid.
Okay, so the Affordable Trust Fund, that's okay. Land Trust article. We already talked about that, wasn't it?
Yeah, right?
So we're gonna put that on hold, right?
Yes, hold.
We're
See
gonna
what
put
we
on
have to
hold
do.
until after
The,
We'll get the opinion from House Counsel and the Attorney General's
Yes.
office.
yeah.
okay,
That's what I think we need to do there.
okay. Good with that. Other issues for a special town meeting. I put that on there just because, do we know any information about when the next town meeting is? No, we don't. Okay.
Last year was in December, right? It was
Oh,
late.
yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Not a happy camper.
I remember getting the call.
I was representing both the Housing Authority and
Planning.
the Planning Board.
Yeah.
It
that
was my first function as the planning board member, as a general planning board member.
Yeah.
And we had the marijuana referendum on there,
Yeah.
which had 7 different bylaws that needed to go over, and I had to present it to the town. Yeah, it was wonderful. I
I had
had a great night
bronchitis.
that night.
I just found out after the fact what happened.
Yeah, it was quite.
It wasn't pretty.
So, is it on hold, or we just, are they waiting to declare it? No, we're waiting for funds.
I'm not sure.
I forgot what it was. I did see it on one of the selectmen's meeting. I think we're waiting, I guess, doesn't the state release the funds so that they then can release it or something or other, something like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That should have happened already there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
But they were trying to coordinate it with other efforts that the Board of Selectmen were doing. So I'm gonna, we have no information on that, so I guess we can put that on our next agenda as well, please. 3.6, outstanding tenant position. Natalie, did you notice I have your name on these?
Yeah.
Do you know why I did that?
I have no idea. I
Scared
don't think
though.
I want to know.
Properties
I saw that,
on the
yeah.
subsidized, what I wanted you to do, if you could,
Okay.
please,
Mm-hmm.
is we have Department of Housing and Community Development 40B subsidized housing inventory. This is our housing inventory.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they have Benjamin condominiums on 328 Main Street. I'll give you this. You don't have to write it down.
I got it right here.
Okay.
Yeah. I got it right here.
DDS Group Homes, Coppersmith Way, Apple Drive Habitat House, Atwood 2, Townsend Woods, and Turnpike Village. Okay.
Okay.
What I'm wondering if we can do, Turnpike Village, Lori said that there's a outbuilding that's there, like where all their mailboxes are.
Yeah. Okay.
If we could maybe post some kind of, we could post our vacancy
Oh,
or
okay.
something for the tenant position.
Okay.
If you
Alright.
could put together a letter to maybe go to some of these other places, just if you're
Okay.
interested, kind of thing,
All right.
and bring it to our next meeting and we'll vote on it.
Okay.
Courtney, as you were saying, we needed to reach out to these other for the tenant position. So I'm thinking we'll try that, just so a formal letter asking for volunteers.
Okay.
The vacancy, is that what it's called? Yeah, the vacancy is still on the website, so,
Okay.
you know, the positions are still open.
Okay.
Talked about putting it up at the senior center too, right? Because you said
Yeah.
you have a
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
people that
senior
come
center,
through
library.
from this
Yep.
Senior Center
area.
Library, yeah, we put them at both places too.
Yep, but
And
the
Hanford's.
criteria is that a person has to be living in
Living
an
in one of
affordable
these.
housing, so it has to be in one
Okay.
of these units. Which really is, I'm kind of excited about the fact that we actually got a report.
Yeah.
I've been
How'd you
asking-
get this from
I don't
the
know.
state?
I don't know. Did Lindsay get that? Good for her.
Great.
She does a good job. Correspondence and clerk's announcements. Natalie, I'm gonna let you take
Well,
that.
Oh, yeah, that's in
the budget. And
What's the mail?
I'm gonna let you do the reading, Madam Clerk.
All right, let's
We're
see.
so formal now.
Let's see. Notice of decision to Sally Thurber. Operation of veterinary clinic hospital. She wants to move it to 29 Main Street. From over here, she bought a house. It was in the paper, actually.
Yep.
Operation of a combined veterinary hospital and residence at 29 Main Street.
Is that a mandatory referral? Do we have to say anything, or is it just notifying us?
I don't know.
Is my signature on the back of it?
It's a notice.
It's a notice. No, she had
I
it.
think it's a determination.
Okay.
Notice of decision to.
Okay, no, it's a zoning one.
This is a decision for, petition for special permit, October 30th. Parcel located at 48 Fitchburg Road in Townsend. It contains existing condominium complex consisting of 5 apartment buildings, with each building having 24 units.
This is the one that had the fire? Is that where that is? What was the address?
48.
The first one that we talked about, there's a woman that runs or a doctor that runs a veterinary clinic here on Main Street, has outgrown the building that she's at, so she purchased a building down by the high school.
Yeah.
And she's turning that house into a veterinary clinic.
Okay, and do you need your approval on that?
No, it's just a
No.
notification
Oh,
that
yeah, I was gonna
they
say,
reached a
okay.
decision
Yeah,
that it was.
okay.
Yes, it is that. This is that one down there.
So is that a decision?
It says decision, yeah. Decision for special permit.
So they allowed it?
Date of decision.
Same thing, it's the same address.
Finding of facts.
48 Fitchburg.
Conditions. It's like there was a lot of different votes that were taken.
Yeah, so there were bylaws that each one of
Special
those,
permits.
so each one of these hit a bylaw, so it's a they were seeking a variance to each one of those.
Yep,
And they have to vote for each bylaw,
yep.
and those are the votes by the zoning board, the individual members for it.
That goes together.
This is to replace the building.
It's taken that long, yeah. Wasn't it like right around this time last year that happened?
Was it that long ago already?
I think it was a year ago, yeah.
Wow, that went by so fast.
This one is for Coppersmith Way, 16 Lois Lane. For sale, a house, 3-bedroom, single-family home, 1 bath, 1 garage. There's an open house on November 23rd.
Is it
With
affordable? Is that the affordable? unit?
Eligibility criteria. Gross, household incomes.
Yep, so that's the new low-income house that is, that they just built on Lois Lane.
Okay.
Is that MCO? Yeah.
MCO, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lottery for that particular property.
Oh,
That
okay.
MCO is doing. And what happens, Courtney, is that when we have an affordable housing that's built, the managing company is the MCO that's there, and they hold a
Mhm.
lottery, which is basically, all the applications go into this particular thing, and however they hold the lottery, they could say they picked the top 5, and then they look at other values
Yeah.
within those top 5 or whatever.
Now, is this something like this, does this get the cost that is associated with this, or what the sale price, is that also based on our area, like we've been talking about, I would say this is pretty expensive for what I, yeah.
So that's our latest affordable housing. Which is why I made that comment.
Which is twice as much as I paid for my first house. That doesn't seem that affordable to me.
This is why I feel that we need to be moving forward with this, the project that we want to do, because I think not only we can retain people in town, but I think we can actually increase. I want to do as much as we can to.
And if they have like affordable rentals, they may eventually be able to get up the money to move and buy something
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
We need time to get their feet on the ground.
yep.
I don't even know how somebody with these guidelines could afford that house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why I was surprised by
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
If I actually got somebody mad at me at a state meeting one time because I said, does somebody have like those mortgage calculator things? And they said, yeah. And I said, can you plug in this for it? And we went
Yeah.
through,
yeah.
and it was
They
just
couldn't do it.
barely
Yeah.
qualified for the
Well,
mortgage.
and it's only how many square feet? 1,100?
Yeah.
So what's the chances of you having a 5 or 6 person going
Right,
in
for
there,
that
you
for
know?
that much, yeah.
You do, there's some big issues.
Yeah.
1 bath. Oh, it's a 3-bedroom now.
One bath though.
Yeah.
That's
1,100. That's pretty.
It's pretty small to
Yeah.
fit in
Yeah.
3 bedrooms and
I mean, I paid
On
less
Lois
for my
Lane.
house. My house is less than that.
I
It's a
love the name of the
4-bedroom,
street.
2
Yeah,
bath.
that's a part of Kevin Smith has been building all of that.
Just Lois Lane, like I think of Lois.
Yeah, there is because they're all named after like Superman stuff.
Oh, they are. Oh,
That's
I
funny.
thought it was like, oh, that's so
no,
funny.
no, it's Lois Lane, and I can't remember
I
the
thought
other
it was
ones, but-
inadvertent.
No, good. I'm glad this is moving forward. That's another one that'll end up on our inventory as well.
Do this.
And part of this trust part of the thought behind it is that when and if something like that does come up, we need to secure it so that it doesn't get sold in market.
So how do we know if they have enough people that are interested in this in the lottery? Like, will we know if they don't get interest in that particular property, so that, like you're saying, we can?
Yep.
And that's how you lose it from the.
Right, they'll notify it over the year. They're asking for the lottery. They've already, I've called them and I've asked them, so yes, they've had some people apply for it, so
Okay.
we're good with that. But let's say they wanted to sell this. The price of the house gets reduced. There's a, what's it called, a deed restriction?
Yeah.
Goes on
Yep.
to the house. So that if they sold it, they have to sell it as an affordable unit.
Right, it can only increase by so much each year. That's not comparable with the current market.
Right.
of-
I think it's, some of them, I think, the chapter things, I have it spelled, I think it's like 10%. You can't sell it for more than 10% over what you bought it for.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
And then if they've marketed this house as affordable for a year period, they then can turn it to a full market value. The deed restriction has to be taken off the deed, and it's a big, huge, long process. Then it goes to just a regular housing unit. That's what's happened to a couple of them
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
And we meaning the town, gets the difference
Yeah.
between the market value and what it was with the deed restriction on it.
And that's what we could put into the trust if it happened.
Bingo, that's that extra money. Now, we
Yeah.
have monies that come in that have just gone into the town's general fund, and it gets paying for oil or whatever it is when it goes into the general fund.
that's
And we
right.
want to keep that retained for the housing authority.
In the Affordable Housing Trust.
Trust, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And the last bit, you guys know this is my favorite part.
Oh, no, adjournment, right?
No, no, it's just the fact that we have a budget.
Oh.
And it's telling us that we spent
Money?
some money and we have some money. See, we have money.
Yeah, right.
Nice. You have some serious money.
Yeah, that's for our feasibility study.
Oh, good.
And we didn't spend anything this month, did we?
$20-something, was
Just
it?
me.
Just you.
Yeah.
Gladly.
You're not on there yet. No.
Oh, she is. It keeps on going down. Good. I'm very glad to see this. I'm okay with that. The feasibility is still 35,000, so that stays the same. So if you guys want to take a peek at that. If you're okay with that, I'll go ahead and sign.
Good.
You good?
Mhm.
And approve the minutes. The minutes are there for Thursday, October 3rd. And we were all caught up, aren't we?
In September.
I'm missing the 10th. I am so close, but not quite. So
Almost.
next meeting, you should have
Everything.
14th and the 10th.
Okay.
Should be all set.
Okay. I make a motion to accept the minutes as, I make a motion to accept the minutes. Unless there's any deletions or corrections.
Second.
Okay.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
Next meeting.
And next meeting date.
Pick one.
Oh, shoot, I left my phone outside.
He did too.
I did too.
Oh, you did too? I'm like, shoot.
I
Well, I was wondering if you were texting me. I didn't get it.
You know, when I was in the car, I thought I should text you just to let you know I was on route. Oh, no. I have my phone. Doesn't have much juice, but I have it.
I got the honor of meeting Chris Sununu today.
Oh, did you?
He came to our office.
How was it?
He was,
He was good?
yeah, I liked him.
Because, you know, it's weird. I've heard mixed from different people about him, but.
Well, he's doing, I guess he's doing a further effort for the opioid crisis, and they're trying to change some legislature up there, and
Yeah.
he came to visit our facility.
Oh, good.
He was very impressed with our.
Good. I mean, I think he is very concerned about the opioid thing. I
Yeah.
didn't love how he blamed Massachusetts for it in the beginning, but,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, well,
That's all right.
but look at what we've done here in Massachusetts, and look what they, you know, I have a license both in Mass and New Hampshire, and the criteria for my license here in Mass far supersedes what it was up in New Hampshire. I mean,
Yeah.
I just showed them what I had, and they were like, yeah, okay, and I got the license right away. They were like, oh
Right
my
off the
God.
bat, yeah.
But I think the biggest thing was that they're trying to try to mimic some of what we have in Massachusetts up there. That's
good.
kind of what I heard.
Oh,
so.
good.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay, pick a date.
Well, they should have
So
plenty of
we
money
can
because all our
do-
vaping people are going up there.
Right.
Right, pick a date.
We can't do Thursday the 5th.
Mm-mm.
Want to do the 12th?
Yes, 12th is fine.
The 12th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yep, I think I can do
Okay.
it.
It's
Yep, December.
it's a holiday apparently.
What? Okay. But I don't usually celebrate that day. I celebrate the weekend.
So we good for the 12th?
Yep.
Yep.
Go for the 12th.
But thanks for pointing it out.
Okay. It's also a full moon too, just so you know. And we'll keep it at 7 o'clock.
Mhm.
And Thursday's good for you?
Yeah, Thursdays are good for me.
Okay. All right. So we I'll entertain a motion to,
Make a motion to adjourn.
motion's been made
Second.
and seconded.
Okay.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
35.
Like sign. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.